Hello everyone and welcome to another really wild game from the final round of the second day, so basically round 6 of the Champions Showdown, Chess 960, Jan Nepomniachtchi versus Mamedyarov. So Jan was having a spectacular tournament, had 4 wins in a row, then he faced Alireza and Alireza defeated him with the white pieces, but he's still tied for first, and now he faces Mamedyarov. He has the white pieces and it's... well, it's quite a crushing game. So let's check it out. Nepo has the white pieces and he opens with f4 now. He opens up his dark square bishop. Sorry about that. We have d5 by Shakhtiyar, g3 and f6 now. We have pawn to d4, now stopping e5, and knight to d6. We have knight to d3 and knight to g6 now. Bishop to h3 by Nepo, and now pawn to e6. We have knight h to f2, and now pawn to b6. Bishop to g2, fianchettoing the bishop, and now pawn to e5, Mamedyarov strikes in the center. We have d captures on e5, f captures on e5, and now, while you could start capturing on e5, Nepo decides to advance the pawn to e4. He doesn't want to be stuck with a backwards pawn. D captures, we have knight captures on e4, and now all sorts of nasty discoveries are being threatened. For example, knight captures would open up an attack towards the queen, so it makes sense to block this. Bishop to d5 now challenges the bishop here, and here black is definitely at least slightly better, and you should consider castling. Maybe wouldn't be a terrible idea, but that's the problem here. Nepo played knight captures on d6, and now Mamedyarov has a move that is, well, sort of puts him in a completely winning position. So feel free to pause the video and try to find this winning idea for Mamedyarov while I give you a couple of seconds. So for those of you who were able to do it, congratulations on spotting this brilliancy. And for those of you who just want to enjoy the show, it is bishop to f3 check. A weird move indeed, but it puts white in a really terrible position. Point is, if the bishop is captured, for example, bishop captures on f3. Oh, sorry about that. If bishop captures on f3, queen captures on f3, and now king to c1, then bishop captures on d6. And there's really nothing for you to do. The king is stuck on c1. Even if you try something like a4 to bring the queen into the game, we can even play knight captures on f4. If g captures e4, now chases away the knight, bishop captures on f4, will end the game. So that's the problem. So after this, bishop to f3 check, king to d2 by Nepo, and now bishop captures on d6. Again, the idea is the same. e4 will be played, then knight captures on f4 becomes a terrible threat, and there's just not a good way to deal with this. Bishop to h3 by Nepo, now pawn to e4, attacking the knight, and now b4. It's a good move in most positions, so it could be a good move in this position. It even is the top move recommended by the engine, but still, it's a hard position to play. The problem is if you move the knight, and of course you want to do this if it's possible, queen d5 check, and if king c1, bishop b4, there's nothing for you to do here. It's the rook is hanging. Let's say if c3 e3, now queen to d2 check is coming, checkmate is coming. It's just a terrible position to be in. So instead, Nepo played b4. We have rook to e7, a very classy move by Mamedyarov. He doesn't just rush with e captures on d3. He defends the g7 pawn. He says, I'm not giving you a shred of counterplay. So knight to c5. Nepo says, all right, I will give you the knight, but on my terms. I want to give it up here, so we might start trading, but Mamedyarov just continues with his plan of knight captures on f4, as that's the way to victory. So g captures, the bishop is also hanging, there's really no good move here for white. G captures, and now the only way this game would have been cooler if Mamedyarov did not capture on c5, if he went for bishop captures on f4 right away, but okay, he played b captures on c5, we have bishop b captures on c5, and now bishop captures on f4 with check. Now the bishops here are just monsters. King to c3, or you could play bishop to e3, but then you just get very quickly checkmated. Queen d5 check, and that's it. King to c1, let's say, or somewhere. If you don't want to give up the bishop, you can play queen d4, but just queen captures on d4, and the bishop is pinned. So bishop to e3 really does not help you. So instead, we have king to c3. Now comes pawn to e3, and now rook e to d1 with check. King to e8, and now rook captures on b8 with check. Queen captures captures, and now even rook to d4, trying to get something. Yeah, if Mamedyarov tries bishop to e5, which of course I'm sure Nepo was planning, then he would get some counterplay. Let's say bishop captures on e3, and after captures, yes, of course, black is still winning, he's up material, but the two bishops, the queen, the black king in the open board, might not be so easy. And there are both some, maybe 3 minutes on the clock. So after rook d4, we have c6, again, just limiting Nepo's options, and now king to d3. Queen to b5 with check, pawn to c4, and now queen to b4, threatening queen to d2, checkmate. So king to c2, now comes pawn to e2, and there is no good way to deal with pawn to e1. So here rook captures on f4. At least he will grab a bishop while he resigns the game, but that's pretty much it. Rook captures on f4. Mamedyarov played e1, and he didn't even bring a queen into the game. He brought a knight into the game with check, and it was in this position on move 25 that Yanni resigned the game, as there is nothing more to be done here. So yeah, really nicely done. Bringing a queen into the game or a rook is also winning, but bringing a knight with check is just way cooler, because now white can give up the queen, or you can start running away with the king, but then it's just a forced checkmate with knight d3 check, king c2, rook e2 check. Now you sacrifice the knight you just brought into the game, captures, and of course queen to d2 will be checkmate. So Nepo saw this, of course he resigned, and that's pretty much it. And now the standings that some of you already were able to see, even though for a fraction of a second. These are the standings after round 6. So incredible, Mamedyarov is tied for Alireza with 4.5 points in first place. Then with 4, Yanni Pomnishi, who started off with 4 wins, but then that lost against Alireza really got to him, as you've seen how quickly he just completely blundered in the opening, basically, against the Mamedyarov. Then with 3.5 points, Fabiano Levon and Hikaru Nakamura. With 3 points, Wesley So. With 2, Lenier Dominguez, Peter Sviller with 1.5, and Kasparov still with 0 points after 6 rounds. So we'll see if maybe after the final day he will grab a point or two. So yeah. That's the game. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Very nicely done by Mamedyarov, and it really came out of nowhere. Bishop to d5, just spectacularly played, and he just tricks Nepo. Just knight captures on d6, and then this bishop to f3 check move. Who would spot this? But Mamedyarov would spot this. So yeah, once again, really hope you guys enjoyed it. I would like to thank Paul Sretanovic, Jose Palacio, Filippo Palacio, Isu Papa in Panama, Matthew Garner, and Luke Longbone for a contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot. I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you soon, continuing the coverage of the Champions Showdown until it finishes. So thank you all. I will see you soon, and have an excellent rest of your day.